Number 12, Efrain Valenciano says, can we say God died since Jesus died? Can we say Mary is the mother of God? Yes and no. So Jesus died and Jesus is God, right? So there's a sense in which I can say God died. There's another sense in which I hesitate to say this, and it is because God never ceased to have life in himself. Jesus had life in himself. Like Hebrews says, it was impossible for death to keep him because of his deity, and so he rose from the dead. And so it could imply to people when you say God died that there was a moment where God ceased to be, where like Jesus, as who's God, ceased to exist or something like that. And I would hesitate. So because there's a truth and a not truth that are mixed up in this phrase God died, I would probably avoid using it to avoid the confusion. The phrase Mary is the mother of God is actually really interesting. It has a history behind it. Initially, in the very early church, Mary as the mother of God was seen as a very important doctrinal statement about Jesus. So there were heresies about Jesus, like he became God when he was baptized, or some later time in his life, like adoptionist Christology or something that happens, that he was adopted and became the Son of God at his baptism. And one of the ways of fighting against this was the doctrinal statement, Mary's the mother of God. It actually wasn't a statement about Mary at all. It was a statement about Jesus, that he was deity even in the womb. And that's something all of us would affirm. Protestant, Orthodox, Catholic would all absolutely affirm that. But Mary is the mother of God changed as Mariology in the church started to become more and more and more of a practice, and even the exaltation and even the worship of Mary, prayers to Mary and all this stuff. And even in the 1900s, desiring to many Catholics, a huge movement in the Catholic Church, trying to make Mary co-redemptrix, that she's a participant in our very redemption. Our salvation is partly owed to her, and things like that, and calling her the Queen of Heaven, and this exaltation of Mary beyond what's biblical. And then you get things like this, where when you say Mary's the mother of God, and that's one of the reasons why you pray to Mary, because even if God might, turn down your request, even if Jesus might turn down your request, he wouldn't turn down the request of his mother. So if you pray to Mary and Mary talks to Jesus, his mom's going to say it and he's going to agree. So your chances of getting your prayers answered through Mary are better than directly through Jesus. This is what some of the Catholic teachers say, and some of the Catholic prayers say. And this is why others they stop and they go, whoa, when you say Mary's the mother of God, and that's a statement about the deity of Christ, I 100% agree. When you say Mary's the mother of God and it's a statement about her relationship to God, as though God looks to her and says, hello, mother, instead of the way Mary said about Jesus, he's my Lord, she called him her Lord, then it's again problematic, which is why I don't use the phrase Mary's the mother of God either, because there's a historical goodness to it, and there's a convoluted and problematic usage of it since then. So yeah, there's my opinion. Now, the phrase God died, is that in scripture? Not to my knowledge, off the top of my head. Mary as the mother of God, is that statement in scripture? Is Mary called the mother of God? It does call her the mother of Jesus. Is she called the mother of God? Is she given that kind of exalted position that modern Roman Catholics would give to her, and many Orthodox? And the answer is no, not in scripture. That doesn't happen. That happened historically later and later and later in time. You can trace the historical development of this stuff, and it happened late over time. And because of that, I would avoid the phrase.